Greetings, horror fans. Once again, Boardnell back with Rachel McDonald. On this video, we're going to review a bit of a cult movie. It's become like a cult over the years when it comes to a Christmas slasher movie, and that is Christmas Evil 1980, which is a brilliant year because it's the year I was born, so you can't go wrong, really. Good choice for that, if nothing else. And it's another film in a long line of those where you have an example of a kid finding out there's no Santa Claus in the most upsetting of ways. So the opening of this film in the 40s is Harry, the main character of the film. It's Christmas Eve night, Christmas Day, that the family are all gathered round and they see what they think is Santa Claus, but Harry has a rude awakening later on. He comes down in the middle of the night and he sees Santa Claus getting randy with his mother. So Santa Claus is, of course, his father, and that spoils the whole myth of Santa Claus. And that haunts him for the rest of his life, really, by those images, 40 years later, it seems. And then slowly things go from bad to worse because it turns out he runs a factory. He also dresses up as Santa Claus. The factory produces like Christmas like toys, and it turns out he seems to be the only one in the Christmas spirit, partly because he's got a promotion and his workers resent him for that, and they're just not in the Christmas mood, and that leads to Harry slowly going insane. He has his naughty and nice list, and it sort of starts off quite mild, depending on who's naughty and who's nice in his mind. Anyway, then he also he might pull a prank and teach them a lesson if he deems them to be unfit of the nice list. But then, as things go on, he becomes more crazed and enraged and starts killing people dressed as Santa, which is always a glorious festive sight. So that's the setup for Christmas Evil. Now, this could go either way based on Rachel's taste, but I'm going to ask the question. Rachel, what did you think of Christmas Evil?
Dude, where do you find these movies? Like, honestly, what this was?
This is a cult classic.
Oh, this
I don't
was
know what you.
terrible. This was like
No,
along the same lines as
no, it's not
Pieces.
terrible.
Oh, look, I see my dad and my mom getting it on Christmas Eve. My dad's dressed as Santa, and I'm going to become a serial
Well,
killer because of that.
hang on, that wasn't a Christmas movie. That had nothing to do with
No, 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 no,
Christmas.
no, but it reminds me of it. It was
A
just, it's
little
kind of
bit.
that similar kind of like, oh, look, I have this weird kind of um event in my past that causes me some sort of psychosexual issue because I don't know, weird trauma. Oh man, this movie was no, this was a slog to get through, dude. I think the one thing that I couldn't get over was it was only an hour and a half. I think at one point, because Stephen was half
Yeah.
watching with me, at one point I was like, oh my god, there's still half an hour of this movie left. It's only an hour and a half long. And Stephen was like, are you kidding me? We've been watching this movie for like 2 hours. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's gone for a while. Plus, I have to say, this dude's really creepy. Like, what was with all the scenes of him watching people through the windows and stuff? Like, I did not get like a slasher vibe from this. I got like peeping Tom 1 hour photo type vibe from this. It was just like, no. So I think I can kind of understand why it's become a cult classic. Like there are certain markers of like movies that become cult classics. Like they're usually a little bit off kilter. They usually have some sort of theme that you wouldn't see in other movies. Like this obviously has that weird psychosexual thing running through if he's become obsessed with Santa because he saw Santa getting it on with his mom and it's all kinds of weird. So I can understand why it may have like become like a bit of a cult classic, but no, this was a slog for me to get through. I was just watching it going, oh, if Keith makes me watch one more of these types of movies, I will find a way to smack him in the face, even if it's just sending my brother who lives in London to your house just to smack you in the face. If
I've
you've seen
seen
this
it
before,
before.
tell him off because now he's seen it and he's still making you watch it. Whereas if he hadn't seen it, we might be able to forgive him a bit.
Yeah, well, okay, so the only bit I'll grant you with that is then in the middle, it does drag a little bit. I'll give you that. I think it slows down a bit in the middle, and so like the scene at the party could have been cut probably, uh, as in the party that he's invited into, and
Yes,
the
the
whole
one where
gag
they
is.
think he's Santa. They're
Yeah,
like, oh look,
yeah,
Santa's
yeah.
come to
He's
visit.
doing his normal routine, and they just think he's being festive. They don't
Mm.
take him seriously. So, although I will just say with that quickly, one of the guys who invites him in, fans of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad will know because he plays Hector in those shows,
Okay.
and it's funny because he already looks quite old there, but he's quite a familiar character in those shows. So that's Mark Marigolds, I think the actor's called. So
Okay.
yeah, and there's one or two familiar faces in this because Phil, his brother, Harry's brother, I definitely know from things as well.
Yes, I recognized him from the Green Mile. He's one of the
Yeah.
prison guards
Oh
in the
yeah.
Green Mile. Yeah, I kept looking at him. I'm like, I know you from somewhere, but you're older and you're in a uniform. And I was like, oh, you're from the Green Mile. Yeah, no, he. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, you're
Oh
definitely
yeah.
familiar.
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Give you then it's a bit of a slog in the middle, but apart from that, no, I enjoy this. I have a good time with it. And I disagree a little bit because I think it does get a good balance. I think, in a way, it does feel like a bit more of those over the top cheesy, similar to like Silent Night, Deadly Night style film.
Mm.
So it has that, and like if that's done well, I can enjoy that, and I did enjoy that because some of this, like it's almost him doing this Rear Window type thing with like the apartment and the kids, and so that is so kind of over the top and silly. Then I do enjoy it, and there are some laugh out loud moments in this film, which is to its credit, I think. So, like, we were watching it on stream, and one of the things I really liked was the line about, when he's going through that kid Moss and his list of bad things he's done, and he just adds picking his nose.
Yeah.
That was really funny. It's like that is the thing that tipped him over the edge. The fact that he picks his
That was the
nose.
straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, because he mentioned bad language, something else, and then he
Oh,
picks
and
his
sniffy
nose.
nose.
So that's it. So stuff like that I find entertaining. I actually do think this works quite well as a horror movie. I think there's a decent atmosphere to it. Like the use of music I thought was really effective, for
There
example.
were some scenes, I will admit, that where I was like, okay, the score's not too bad. Like I think some of the music they played when he was spying on people was suitably eerie and definitely elevated the creep factor. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, like, because I think for me, and this might just be a taste thing, maybe you're not as into this style of filmmaking, but for me, it appeals as a good back to basics DIY style film, very sort of, off kilter style thing, quite sort of wacky, but there is like an atmosphere, and I personally always enjoy like a Christmas horror movie where it twists things around and it uses certain things about the season as a more sinister type thing.
Yeah.
See, that's why I was a bit on the fence about how you would feel, because once you get into the horror stuff, I would say there is some good horror scenes in it. Like it obviously takes a while to get to the kills, but the kills I thought were pretty effective. Obviously you can agree or differ on that one,
But
but
I have to say, given that this film is billed as a slasher, I think that's not an accurate category because it does take so long for us to get to any sort of kills. So I was quite surprised that like we were like I think 40 minutes into the movie and no one had died yet. And I was like, isn't this supposed to be a slasher? Isn't Santa supposed to be killing people? Like what's going on? I thought the murders on the stairs, when he flips when those guys are like mocking him and he stabs one of them with like a toy soldier. I thought that was kind of cool. But I have to say, the scene where he like smothers his was it his boss or some guy, he that Frank guy, he like smothers him in his sleep, and I like with his wife like lying right next to him, and I could not take that scene seriously, because first of all, he's trying to smother him with like a bag of presents. Like, how's that gonna work? Like, it's just that's obviously not gonna work. And then I kept thinking, I'm like, what did this woman like drink a bottle of brandy before she went to bed? Like, she literally just lay there while her husband is being murdered. And then Steven's like, oh, he's gonna kill him with the Christmas star. And I was like, no, he's not. And then he did. And I was like, oh, okay. Plastic Christmas ornaments can now be used as weapons. Cool. Something to keep in mind.
I mean, to be fair, like, okay, the scene itself was silly, but it's just silly in a sort of a way I quite enjoy.
Okay.
Like, I think we said on stream, well, maybe the wife hates Frank, so maybe she pretended to be in a deep sleep and just allowed him to be killed.
Oh, fair enough.
That is possible, but no, like, it's sort of silly in a way I enjoyed, but at the same time, you say, he killed him with a Christmas star. That's not a million miles away from that kill in Black Christmas. I mean, that was with
That's
a
true.
Christmas.
It was a Christmas ornament, but
I think
a little bit heavier. But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just the sort of scene where they're going all in on the whole Christmas horror
theme.
type thing.
Yeah,
it's just symbolic that he uses something related to the season, but more kills, or maybe they could have got to the kills faster. But part of that is, I think they just wanted quite a good build up to him, like slowly going mad, and I think they've. I think there's decent pacing to the film. You don't really do it all in the first like half an hour. I had enough fun with the character itself.
Okay, fair enough. See, I didn't find Harry I didn't find him that entertaining. And I kept getting stuck on this whole, you've become obsessed with Santa because you saw your dad having it on with your mum while he was dressed as Santa. Like, at one point, I actually said that out loud because Stephen hadn't seen the beginning of the movie, and he turned to me, he's like, that's not really what's going on here. I'm like, oh, no, that's actually what's going on here. This is why this guy decided to become a psycho, because he got that traumatized seeing his parents get it on Christmas Eve while his dad was dressed as Santa. Apparently that's very traumatizing for some people. So plus, what are his mum and dad doing getting it on in the living room where their kids could clearly see them? Like, if you want to play Santa, go to the bedroom.
I did make a note that said get a room.
Yeah, exactly.
Exclamation mark. Yeah, get a room, basically. Yeah, very unfortunate.
Yeah, I was like, why are you doing this in clear view where you've literally just sat with your kids to watch fake Santa come down the chimney, and yet you're just gonna have sex in front of the fireplace? Like, that makes sense. Also, who's turned on by Santa? That's like a whole kink we don't need to do.
Well, it is a husband though, but
True. But you think you take the Santa. Makes me think of that Friends episode where Chandler dresses up as Santa and Monica's all like, hey, do you think you could keep this? And he's like, Santa? Really? She's like, yeah. It's like, okay. People have weird fetishes. Shouldn't judge.
No doubt they were thinking of the scene from Christmas Evil. They wanted to recreate that.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's big fans, the writing staff of Friends.
John Waters apparently really loves this movie and champions it, which, you know what? Given the kind of guy John Waters is, and given the type of movie this is, yeah, I get that.
It doesn't really surprise me.
No, me either.
Okay. So what did you think of the actor who played Harry? Did you think they cast that part well? Or?
I mean, he seemed okay, but I didn't think it was like a great script to begin with, so I didn't think it necessarily needed like a great actor. I thought the guy who played him was suitably creepy. He was definitely creeping me out, and I think he did a decent job of showing like Harry, like, because you could see as the night went on that he was slowly starting to unravel more and more and more until we got to, the final thing. So I think that he did do a decent job with that. But like I said, I don't feel that there was that much to the character to begin with. So I don't necessarily think it was like a particularly hard role to play. But I did find him suitably creepy. I've never seen this actor in anything else. Or if I have, then I must have forgotten. Like from the roof, and he's like watching that little girl play with her doll, and then he flips over and he sees the kid with like the hustler magazine, and he's like cutting out the naked women.
Yeah.
Why not? But yeah, like I found that thing quite creepy. And then there were a couple of shots where he was in the Santa outfit and he was starting to look really bedraggled and really like done by. But I was like, okay, I can kind of see like the desperation coming through. So yeah, I thought he was all right.
Because he's very sort of deadpan, and he has that sort of put upon feel to him, like everyday sort of guy who is very, like, I don't know, sort of brooding and down in the dumps, but he's
Yeah.
quite convinced. He sort of had a bit of a Bill Murray style vibe, turn it and make it look, and he does come across as quite creepy, like his appearance. So
Yeah.
he did have a little bit of the Norman Bates about him as well. Supposed to buy into it too much. Obviously, yeah. I mean, the build up and stuff, and him slowly going mad. I appreciate that they gave that some time, and I did actually enjoy, how entertaining some of those scenes were. And they just went to extremes for the sake of the film, but like the kid just whipping out that cut out of the porn.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's kind of what teenage boys tend to do, and yeah, that. And also the scene when he went after Moss in the bushes was kind of funny.
Oh yeah, that poor kid.
And he actually dressed up, and it was at that stage I was starting to wonder. Yeah, does he actually plan on killing kids? But I think he just wanted to scare him. I think that was the idea. And I have to say, because we said this as well, Moss's mother should have went on the naughty list, because she actually slapped
mother
him.
of the oh my
terrible.
God, yeah, that was horrible. I was like, holy crap, I forgot that we used to beat their kids back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that kid did basically nothing wrong. She just snapped out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was horrible. I was like, oh my God. Like, sure, let's just smack a kid right in the face. That's festive. That mother of the year, that lady. And it's not just that, like the whole time she's telling him how he's like ruining her night out and how,
I only get one night out.
I only get one night out away from you. It's like, oh, that's what every kid wants to hear from their parents. That's A+ parenting there, mummy. That's great.
Yeah.
I have to say, towards the end of the film, I started to, at the very least, find it funny because it was just so ridiculous. So the scene where he's confronting some adults in the street and the kids are like shielding him and like the guy's like coming at him with like this knife, and then like the girl like gets the knife and is all like, no, you're not gonna hurt me.
Angelica, wasn't it, or something? Angelina or something, like that. She was brilliant though.
I'm just like, oh my God, Santa, yeah, sure, let's use children as shields. That's a great. And at one point, I swear he actually grabs them and like moves backwards with them. Like, come on, kids, keep shielding me from the bad adults.
Well, well, yeah, but they made their own choice. They wanted to protect Santa, and
children.
But to be fair, if you put Harry next to that other guy, the other guy was probably even worse. I mean, one thing I picked up on is, what is this guy doing carrying around a switchblade knife? He just left house with it. Like he almost expected to run into trouble.
Oh,
I mean, I can only think he's in the mafia or something, or like a street gang. That can be the only thing that explains it.
1880s. We're not in the 1880s. Why are we lighting like torches and like literally running around with burning torches like an angry mob from
It's a cult,
the late 1800s? It was terrible. That was so bad. Also, there was one scene, I can't remember where it was, but it made me laugh so much, where Harry is like trying to go down the chimney, but he gets stuck because he's too fat. And then at one point he's like trying to get himself back out and he's like sucking in. And I'm like, is he like sucking in like his fat to like wriggle himself back out of it? Is that literally what I'm watching here? And I'm like, you are the most inept Santa serial killer ever. Like, come on, dude. You're getting stuck going down the chimney. What is it? And it really made me laugh when he goes to confront his brother.
We've got to talk about the ending.
Yeah. So he goes to confront his brother, and his brother has this That's right. He basically blames his brother. He's like, "You're the one who told me that Santa wasn't real." And his brother's like, "Are you kidding me? You've decided to be a loser your whole life because I told you Santa wasn't real when you were 6 years old," which is pretty much my thought as well. So I thought that was funny. But then after his brothers like subdued him and put him in the van, you see him like wake up, and then you just see this arm come straight out of the van and just punch his brother right in the face. The way it's filmed is just, oh, brilliant. Yeah, so Harry goes to Phil and he's all like, "You're the reason that you're the first person that told me that Santa didn't exist." And I'm totally with Phil, because Phil's just like, "Dude, you can't blame me for your whole life being crap just because I told you Santa wasn't real when we were 6 years old, and then you accidentally saw mum and dad going at it." Like, that's a really poor excuse. Like, of all the serial killers out there with all of their Freudian excuses, that one is
That's pretty low down,
horrible.
for credibility.
Yeah. But just before we go on, I just need to clarify something. There's a scene in like the middle of the movie where Harry is being a creeper again, and he's watching like two people have sex. Is that his brother? Is he spying on his brother and his brother's wife, or was that like the Frank guy and his wife? Because I couldn't tell who he was spying on in that scene.
I think it is his brother. Yeah.
Okay, that's creepy.
Because it's quite early on, and at first I thought it might have been another flashback, but
yes,
then I realised it wasn't his parents, because I knew his mother didn't have blonde hair.
Okay.
So I think it was, yeah.
And his brother and his wife have the same problem of just having sex in the living room where your kids can just walk in.
Yeah, I guess that works. Yeah,
bedrooms just not
in
a
the
thing.
Family, yeah.
Apparently.
Because also like the whole antisocial thing, a lot of that comes down to Harry, because like the scene earlier where he decides not to have Thanksgiving dinner with them because he's so jizzed for like the Christmas parade. So I think I said at the time, I think that's almost like porn to Harry, like a Christmas style parade.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, he was just transfixed on that.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, I think they did do a good job. Like when you first see Harry and you see that his house is like just covered in Christmas decorations. I thought that was effective to show how obsessed he is with the holiday and how it's become like a fixture in his mind. Still think his excuse is stupid, but they do a good job of showing his obsession and showing like how obsessed he is with Christmas and everything that comes with it. But just
because now are very commonplace and they've been like overused, but probably in 1980 not so much the case. So that's one thing to say. But I did. Another scene I found quite funny was like when he shows up at that hospital and he actually bribes like the security guard with a present, because and I don't know, did that actually work? It seemed to, because he went back inside and he just said, "Well, don't come inside." So he was still kind of a dick to Harry, but it did seem like that bribe worked. But I think we're meant to think that like he took the present inside and the staff saw the present and then they came out and it was like, okay, he's got all these presents. And they just did one or two scenes like that to kind of show in Harry's head that maybe things are festive and, things are right. Because you could almost read that scene as being in his head. Like, and
that's true,
it never
actually,
really happened. But
oh dear.
And then it's sort of after that you get like the kills with like when you have the jerky guy who's making fun of him, and that comes out of nowhere, and that kill I did enjoy, straight in the eye with
that was a good because you didn't see that one coming, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay, wow, it just killed him with a Christmas toy. I thought that was that was one of the better kills, I think, and one of the better moments of the film. After his brothers subdued him and put him in the van, and you see him wake up, and then just the way that it's shot, the way it's filmed, you just see this arm come out of the van and just punch his brother right in the face. Almost like a Jack in the Box or something.
Well, I was going to say this actually, because been a while since I'd seen it, so I actually got duped into thinking that Harry had died at the end.
Oh, yeah, I thought his brother had killed him too. I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
Bill, look out.
well, because also I had this thought, because this film, there's never been a sequel to it, and I did have this thought that that could have been a way to set up a sequel. Then maybe his brother ends up like Harry by
Oh,
the end,
yeah,
and
after,
that's the
yeah.
film. And obviously we said that actor who is a good actor who plays his brother, so
Yes, yes.
he actually did the psychotic bit quite well. But
Mm.
it was, yeah, for a brief moment I thought Harry had been, hey Camilla,
Hello.
that's Camilla,
Do
right?
you, yeah, I can understand what you're saying. That could have been a cool sequel hook if they decided to go with that. But
But they obviously
yeah,
just wanted the imagery at the
yeah.
end. So
Oh God, the
what? Well, it's very cheesy, but again, I see. I read it as it could once again be in Harry's head, and I actually have this other reading on it. Then it's possible Harry did die, and that everything after that in
Oh,
is
okay.
I think that's
Yeah.
possible because they're just playing with that. And I mean, obviously, in reality, he's dead anyway because as soon as he flies over that cliff, he's
Yeah.
pretty much dead. But they just did, they played with the Christmas imagery because it's almost like he's in a sledge. But
Yeah,
yeah,
the sleigh, because you see the sleigh,
yeah,
because the sleigh is on the back of his, not on the side of his van. I have to say, even though it made me laugh and it was so
yeah,
cheesy,
yeah,
I
it
do
was
think,
cheesy. Yeah.
but I do think that like that shot in particular really tied in nicely to the Christmas theme, because you
Yeah.
saw it's almost like he finally got his wish, like he got to be Santa flying out across
Yeah,
the
that's what they were going for.
the
Yeah.
building, and of course then they had the whole calling out Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. I was like, oh God, what are you doing? But no, I thought for a movie that I found quite tedious to get through, that ending was actually quite fun to watch. Like, because I thought that was quite a fun ending and quite a fun way to play into Christmas imagery and into the Christmas theme. So I do think the ending does elevate the movie slightly because it was quite fun. I thought it was quite fun that end.
Yeah, I
So,
enjoyed the ending, and no doubt it influenced like the Polar Express
Oh,
Liz
of course
later
it did.
and
Yes,
stuff like that. Yeah,
absolutely.
magical Christmas ending there in a slasher movie. Rate it out of
Look,
10.
I have to be honest, I did not enjoy watching this film that much. It was a slog for me to get through. And look, I understand everyone's got different tastes, and like I said, I do understand why it's become a cult classic. Like it's definitely got the markings, but for me, it was not that much fun to watch. So I don't think I could give it any higher than a 3 because it just
Oh, for
didn't
God's
work for me.
sake.
I know. But
It's
there
better
just
than a
wasn't anything
3.
in there for me to really hold on to. The ending was fun, it elevated it, and I got a few little chuckles here and there. But other than that, not really up my alley, so I'm going to go with 3 out of 10. Sorry.
Okay, well, we've gone back to pieces again. Really, this is like our Christmas pieces
Yes,
review.
it is.
Because obviously I'm going way higher than that. I legitimately enjoyed this film. It's sort of up my street in many ways. So I'm going to give it 7.5.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's only because there's a bit of a slog in the middle. Otherwise, I might even go a bit higher. But it's just on personal enjoyment. But I actually think it's a better made film than you're giving it credit for.
I
But
don't know, man.
yeah, I think it is. But at the same
I
time,
think
it
you
is
might be
very
being a little
entertaining and
generous.
cheesy in the
It
comments
will be
below.
very interesting to hear what other people think of it. Yes, please tell us.
This has a little bit of a cult following. So, what do you think of Christmas Evil? Let us know. Like and subscribe as always. And check out more content on the channel. We're doing other reviews, or we've done other Christmas films. We've done Die Hard. Speaking of the 1980s, we did a review of that, and may possibly do the sequels in the future as well. And I've been doing some special festive live streams as well. We've also done the top 10 list, and lots going up on the channel in the next month, Christmas theme. So look out for some of that stuff. But Rachel, if you want to promote your channel before we go.
Guys, you can follow me, Rachel McDonald, video essays on movies and TV shows, but not bad movies like this one, just good movies on my channel. So come and follow me there. My Tumblr is also linked through my YouTube, and Keith usually puts a link in the description, but if I've been particularly aggravating, he doesn't. So he might not in this video, but go find one of the other videos where he has and come and follow me everywhere.
Okay, thanks, guys. Once again, happy holidays, Merry Christmas,
Merry
and
Christmas.
we'll see you again soon. Bye.